I want to start by saying that you have far more potential than you might imagine. Have you ever stopped to wonder if there's a secret blueprint for changing your life? I've spent decades studying people from all backgrounds, and I've seen the same simple truth time and again. The habits you cultivate today determine the life you enjoy tomorrow. When I first discovered how much we can control our fate by focusing on better daily choices, I felt as if a door had opened to a whole new realm of possibility. The reason I'm emphasizing the power of your decisions and habits is that any dream you have can be brought closer by making small, consistent improvements. I've personally been at rock bottom with no direction, no money, and no immediate hope. Back then, every day felt like a struggle. But once I started applying these core principles, believing in my inner ability, taking responsibility for my future, and steadily refining my approach, my life changed in ways I'd never thought possible. If you wonder whether you can do the same, remember that each new sunrise is a fresh invitation to reinvent your routines. Let me share what I've learned along the way, in the hope that you'll feel the same burst of motivation I did when I first uncovered the path to lasting success. I can recall a time when I worked around the clock, driving myself to mental exhaustion. I was convinced that sheer willpower would magically catapult me toward my goals. Instead, I often ended up spinning my wheels, not making tangible progress. Then it struck me that working smarter, updating my perspective, focusing on clarity, reshaping my habits was the key to unlocking real gains. Sometimes we treat stress as a badge of honor, telling ourselves that if we push harder, we'll get more done. But the power of habit is what truly guides us to the finish line. If your habits are scattered, you expend energy without forward motion. If your habits are directed, you gain unstoppable momentum, just like a well-tuned engine. Over the years, I've helped countless individuals realize that once they reshape their habits at the deepest level, the rest often falls into place. This is why I keep reminding people to place strong emphasis on daily disciplines, like consistent reflection, clear goals, and practical action steps. Unless you build your life on a foundation of constructive habits, progress remains an elusive mirage. Let me ask you something. Do you ever find yourself stuck in a cycle of repeating the same mistakes? It's common, and I've been there myself. We might think it's a lack of talent or resources, yet in truth, it's usually our reluctance to shift our patterns. Even if we sense the need for a change, we might underestimate how deeply our daily habits shape outcomes. Think about it. If every day you tell yourself it's too late or that success is only for the lucky few, you're reinforcing an attitude that blocks your potential. But if you gently replace those thoughts with the unwavering idea that you can adopt new behaviors, every moment becomes an opening for positive growth. It's extraordinary how quickly new habits, even small ones, accumulate into big results. Picture your mindset as fertile soil, ready for whichever seeds you plant. If you sow seeds of confidence, discipline, and optimism, you'll harvest an abundant garden of success. And once you see that first bloom, like landing that new client or waking up excited instead of anxious, you'll be convinced that a powerful shift has taken root. If you're skeptical, I understand. Early in my journey, I doubted that a handful of simple mindset tweaks and daily routines could spark the massive transformations I'd read about. Yet as soon as I committed wholeheartedly, writing down fresh goals, visualizing success each morning, talking to mentors, focusing on continual self-education, my circumstances began to evolve. At first, the changes were subtle. I remember noticing that I was more proactive in meetings, less prone to procrastination, more open to receiving valuable feedback. Then those subtle changes led to bigger opportunities, like forging beneficial partnerships and exceeding personal targets. Before I knew it, I was in a completely different place, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. That's why I now urge you to embrace the idea that nothing is locked in stone and that your future can brighten the second you decide to rewire your daily patterns. There is immense power in routine, and if you harness it correctly, you feel as though you're driving a high-performance sports car on the open road. Of course, it's not enough just to read these words or feel a flash of inspiration. Action must follow. When I think back on the most successful individuals I've encountered, from executives to entrepreneurs to artists, I see that they built success from simple daily steps performed with unwavering consistency. It might mean dedicating the first hour of every day to strategic planning or reading something that expands your skill set. It might mean forcing yourself to address the toughest tasks first so that you never let the weight of undone responsibilities sap your energy. Whatever form it takes, daily diligence forms the bedrock of excellence. I've seen people with minimal resources become unstoppable once they decided that every day would be used for some small victory, whether it was learning a useful technique or building better relationships. This approach works because each achievement, no matter how small, fuels your confidence and says, yes, I'm advancing. If you keep fueling yourself with that message, it becomes self-fulfilling. So adopt a daily plan, hold yourself accountable, and watch how quickly you pick up steam. Let's talk about belief. Too often we sabotage our progress by underestimating our capabilities. Perhaps you grew up hearing messages that made you doubt your worth. Or maybe you faced repeated disappointments and internalized those as proof that you're somehow limited. If that's the case, I've got to tell you, you're selling yourself short. My experience has shown that we can build unstoppable confidence by turning failures into stepping stones. Each time you try a new skill or step outside your comfort zone, you discover fresh layers of ability. Those successes then become a new baseline. By reinforcing them with daily affirmations, I like to say something as straightforward as, I like myself and I'm worthy of success. You slowly transform your mental self-portrait. Believe me, once you truly see yourself as capable and deserving, you start attracting better opportunities, forging stronger connections, and trusting your instincts. It's as if the universe senses your higher expectations and aligns circumstances to match. Some call it luck, but I see it as the natural outcome of a deeper shift in your mindset. Give yourself permission to accept that your future can, in fact, be much larger and richer than your past. Let me share a brief story that still makes me smile. Years ago, a client of mine was completely stuck in a negative pattern. She believed she was terrible at handling finances, so she avoided budgeting and investing. Every attempt to do better ended in frustration. Yet as soon as we worked on reprogramming her daily habits, like spending 30 minutes reviewing expenses, reading 2 pages on money management, and writing out a simple financial affirmation, her perspective altered. The results were striking. Within a few months, she'd set aside her first emergency fund, started a small investment portfolio, and even negotiated a raise at work. She told me, I realize now it wasn't the money that was complicated, it was my fear of confronting my own habits. That's the power of small steps, backed by a strong belief. I witnessed similar transformations in individuals from all walks of life. Artists discovering better time management, sales professionals improving their closing ratios, even stay-at-home parents tapping new levels of resourcefulness. Change your daily approach and you change your outcomes. Maybe you're wondering how to stay consistent during times of stress or doubt. That's a fair question, and the best advice I can give is to keep reminding yourself of your why. Why is it important for you to push forward? Maybe you want a better life for your family, or a sense of personal freedom, or the ability to make a positive difference in your community. Whenever you feel like quitting, recall the deeper purpose behind your actions. That sense of purpose acts like rocket fuel for your discipline. Picture the moment you'll achieve a major breakthrough. Imagine how it will feel, how your daily life will look, and how proud you'll be of your persistence. Then remind yourself that every single step, no matter how small, brings you closer. Alongside that, surround yourself with some form of reinforcement. It might be supportive friends, mentors, or even motivational content that keeps your mind focused on solutions. Don't underestimate how quickly negative influences can drag you back to old habits. Make a conscious effort to maintain an environment that fosters growth. I promise it will yield astonishing dividends. I've been asked hundreds of times about the role of discipline in personal achievement. People often assume discipline is the same as punishment, but I see it differently. Discipline means doing what you know will benefit you, even if you don't feel like it at the moment. Think of discipline as the guardrail that keeps you from drifting off the path toward your big goals. If you let your immediate emotions take charge, you'll end up procrastinating, rationalizing, or making excuses. But if you set up a daily routine that supports your next level of achievement, like preparing a to-do list each night, waking up at a consistent hour, focusing on top priority tasks first, or devoting quiet time to reflection and planning, your discipline becomes second nature. And once discipline becomes a habit, you'll discover newfound freedom. Why freedom? Because you're no longer a slave to impulsive moods or outside chaos. You've trained yourself to remain on track, which actually creates more space for the activities that bring fulfillment. This is why I champion discipline as one of the pillars of personal transformation. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but that initial discomfort quickly dissolves once you realize how much progress you can make by following through. Now, I'd like to touch on a topic that often arises, the fear of failure. It's common to hesitate about adopting new habits because you're afraid you won't succeed, which can be embarrassing or disheartening. But trust me, failing isn't the enemy, quitting is. Every misstep is a clue showing you what not to do next time. As children, we learn to walk by falling repeatedly, yet each fall taught us how to balance a little better. The same principle applies to building the life you want. If you attempt a new habit, maybe you decide to write 2 pages of a journal each day, or practice a new sales pitch, or schedule an extra hour of study, and then slip back into old patterns, it's not the end of the world. Analyze what went wrong. Were your goals too vague? Did you need more accountability? Once you understand the breakdown, revise your approach, stay positive, and try again. Over the years, I've seen that failure is simply a ticket to learning. Those who embrace it as part of the process and keep moving forward inevitably create success on the other side. Remind yourself, every time I fall, I bounce back stronger. With that perspective, you'll no longer fear mistakes. Instead, you'll welcome them as stepping stones toward excellence. One of my greatest passions is highlighting the connection between clarity of purpose and positive habit formation. The clearer you are about what you want, whether it's doubling your income, improving your fitness, strengthening relationships, or exploring new creative ideas, the more fuel you have for staying consistent. Let's say you crave better health. If you clarify exactly what that means, perhaps losing a certain amount of weight or improving your cardiovascular endurance, then the daily routines like morning walks or smarter meal planning won't feel like burdens. They'll be empowered steps in a larger mission. On the other hand, if your goal is foggy, your motivation to keep going fizzles when stress hits. That's why I encourage people to set well-defined targets and vividly imagine how achieving them will enrich their lives. This simple mental exercise, visualizing success and feeling it in your core, can create a deep emotional anchor. Then, each day's tasks become thrilling increments of progress rather than chores. I recall a period in my own career when I had to juggle multiple business roles while traveling extensively. Without clarity, I might have buckled under the demands, but I had a clear vision of how I wanted my business to impact people worldwide, and that vision acted like a guiding star. No matter how exhausted I felt or how complex the decisions were, I'd come back to that image of building a global network of empowered individuals, all driven to discover their hidden strengths. That clarity gave me the enthusiasm to refine my habits relentlessly. I allocated time for reading and research, stuck to a schedule for returning calls and emails, and dedicated time to planning new speaking topics. Because I had that sense of purpose. The habits didn't drain me, they energized me. In the long run, that synergy is precisely what leads to breakthroughs. And even when outcomes didn't materialize as quickly as I wanted, I could endure temporary setbacks because the bigger picture remained intact. I want to give you a gentle push to reflect on your own bigger picture. What are you aiming to achieve, and how will it transform your life or the lives around you? If you can't readily answer, spend a few minutes journaling, letting your heart reveal the bigger, unspoken dreams that might be buried under day-to-day busyness. Once you recognize those deeper goals, ask yourself, what habits would move me closer to realizing this vision? Possibly, it's adopting a new skill, or dedicating more time to creative pursuits, or working systematically to improve your communication style. Whatever you choose, commit to it fiercely for the next few weeks. You'll be amazed at how quickly you adapt and how those daily steps become part of your identity. As your sense of identity shifts, your self-talk becomes more positive, reinforcing the idea that you're someone who embraces success. That cycle of reinforcement is powerful beyond measure because it accelerates each subsequent habit shift. The more you identify as a capable, forward-moving individual, the more you shape your environment and choices to reflect that identity. Sometimes people ask me, Brian, what about the role of luck in shaping our outcomes? And I respond that luck often disguises itself as people who are prepared to seize opportunities. When you've set robust habits, you're in the best position to notice and act on a chance encounter, a sudden business proposal, or an unexpected vacancy that fits your skill set. Individuals who lack consistent habits might overlook these openings, or they'll be too overwhelmed by disorganization to grab them. So in a sense, your daily discipline sets the stage for receiving good fortune. Or put differently, your new habits become a magnet for the possibilities that match your effort level. That's a far cry from sitting around waiting for random luck to bail you out. By being proactive, you invite luck to knock on your door with far greater frequency. Let me share another anecdote. I once knew an entrepreneur who stumbled upon a fast-growing niche. He'd spent years refining his routine, investing time each morning, To read market reports and follow emerging trends, even when no immediate benefit was visible. One day, he noticed a shift in consumer preference that most others ignored. Because he had the habit of paying attention and analyzing data, he recognized the potential. He pivoted his small business to serve that demand, and it soared. People marveled at his good timing, but he credited it to well-structured daily habits that made him open to new insights. That story stays with me as a vivid testament to how disciplined habits can truly shape your destiny. Another dimension of daily improvement concerns the importance of reflection. I can't emphasize enough how valuable it is to pause at the end of each day or week to examine what's working and what isn't. By using a simple reflection, what did I accomplish today? Where did I stumble? What can I correct tomorrow? You create a feedback loop that prevents minor setbacks from becoming ongoing patterns. Reflection is how you refine your methods to ensure you're always learning from life's lessons. In my early days, I used to skip reflection, thinking action was all I needed. Only later did I realize that undirected action can lead to repeating the same missteps. Reflection helps you act smarter each time. So incorporate a short reflective habit, perhaps journaling or a quick mental review, and watch how your life trajectory steadily rises. It's not complicated, but it is unbelievably effective. I often remind people that mental rehearsal, imagining yourself performing tasks or achieving specific results, can serve as a powerful accelerator. Picture yourself embracing the new habit you aim to form. See yourself thriving in that scenario, responding to challenges with composure, shining in moments of opportunity. The more vividly you picture it, the more your subconscious mind accepts it as normal. Before you know it, your actions sync with that image. I've used this technique before speaking on stage or tackling complex negotiations. Rather than letting anxiety derail me, I envision a successful outcome. Then my behavior lines up with that expectation. You can do the same. Mentally rehearse tackling your day's most important tasks or engaging with people effectively, and soon it's second nature. The key is to do it regularly, even if just for a minute or two. That tiny investment can produce an outsized return in performance. Another vital concept is the notion of persistent optimism. I've observed that people who maintain a forward-looking, can-do spirit handle obstacles far better than those who expect disaster at every turn. Optimism isn't about ignoring real problems, it's about believing in your ability to find solutions. When I approach an issue with an optimistic mindset, I'm more resourceful, open to brainstorming, and quick to bounce back if the first attempt fails. In contrast, a defeatist attitude can paralyze you at the first sign of trouble. That's why I see optimism as a habit of thought you can strengthen. Each time you catch yourself defaulting to negativity, counteract it by stating that a solution does exist, you simply haven't found it yet. Over time, your mind rewires to see adversity as a puzzle, not a dead end. This is crucial for staying consistent with new habits. Suppose you slip once, like missing your daily run or neglecting an important task. The optimistic mind thinks, let's correct this and keep going. The pessimistic mind grumbles, I've blown it, and slides back into inertia. That difference alone can make or break your long-term growth. Perhaps you're curious about how these principles weave together to form a single, unstoppable approach. It begins with clarity. Define your big goals or the improved future you want. Next, choose daily habits that align with that vision, small, manageable steps that you can stick to. Layer an unwavering belief in your worth and abilities, fueled by affirmations and supportive self-talk. Add a dash of discipline to ensure you do it even when motivation lags. Keep refining through reflection. Stay optimistic when setbacks appear, focusing on the potential solutions rather than the problems. Finally, remain open to those fleeting chances or connections that arise when you least expect them. By practicing these fundamentals day after day, you'll notice a gradual, then sudden upsurge in the quality of your life. It becomes easier to generate more income, sustain better relationships, remain physically healthy, and spark new ideas. You transform into the architect of your destiny, the master of your outcomes, and the driver of your success. As I look back over my own path, I'm consistently amazed at how these timeless ideas adapt to any era or industry. Whether you're in a bustling city or a small town, chasing corporate success or building a community initiative, the same pattern applies. Set clear intentions, build enabling habits, maintain strong self-belief, and push forward no matter what. The excitement you'll feel when the pieces align is unforgettable. You start each morning eager to see what new victory might emerge from your ongoing commitment. I find it truly exhilarating, and I want you to embrace that same sense of unstoppable possibility. Even if the world around you is noisy or uncertain, you can craft a personal framework that elevates your sense of power and direction. I'd like to share one more encouraging insight. Never underestimate your capacity for reinvention. Some people believe they're locked into certain traits or circumstances, but in my observations and personal experiences, major changes can happen at any age or stage of life. All it takes is the willingness to adopt fresh perspectives and routines. I've encountered individuals in their 50s who discovered new career paths because they started learning a fresh skill or reached out for mentorship. I've also seen young professionals accelerate their progress dramatically by mastering powerful time management habits early on. Wherever you find yourself now, realize that the door is always open for a new chapter. The crux is to step through that door with unwavering conviction, determined to form the habits that sustain your vision. When you do, the notion of too late or too early becomes irrelevant. Throughout my journey, one of the most rewarding parts has been watching others take these concepts and tailor them to their unique situations. Some build thriving businesses, others nurture supportive families, and still others launch nonprofits or creative works that influence thousands of people. The common thread is they changed their mental scripts, replaced old habits with new ones, and fueled it all with a sense of unstoppable faith in their own potential. And that's something you can do starting today. Yes, it requires patience, especially during the early days when results might still seem distant. Yes, you may doubt yourself from time to time, but keep your eye on the payoff. Greater freedom, deeper fulfillment, more meaningful impact. Those rewards are well worth the effort. Now that we've reached this point, I want to bring us to a strong, conclusive note. I realize you may have read or heard motivational ideas before, yet I truly believe that the synergy of fresh habits, positive beliefs, and determined daily action is the secret sauce that moves mountains. If you ask me for one final piece of advice, it would be start now. Don't wait for the perfect moment or a burst of inspiration. Pick a single habit to improve. Maybe it's organizing your day the night before, or reading something productive for half an hour in the morning, or giving yourself a quiet hour to strategize each weekend. Anchor it in your routine. Then protect that habit as if it's priceless, because the transformation it can bring is beyond measure. Little by little, add more constructive habits, refine them, adapt them, and let them redefine who you are. Over months and years, you'll see how your entire mindset, your relationships, your career, and your well-being ascend to levels you once only dreamed of. That is the timeless formula. Change your habits, change your life, and believe in your future with every fiber of your being. I'm excited for you, and I know that you're on the brink of spectacular breakthroughs. Stay committed, hold on to your optimism, and remember, there's no limit to what you can achieve when you align your daily choices with a clear purpose. Keep moving forward and watch how your world changes for the better.